Right, guys, welcome back to another Southend Dog Training podcast. If you hear a little bit of whining in the background, that is because this week's guest has brought her dog along with us. And I still haven't got a camera where we can pan down and see the dog, but we'll get him in. Is he going to come up?
Maybe he is. Maybe we can get him in a shot. Come on then. Come on then, good boy.
If not, we'll get a shot of him at the end. We'll turn one of the cameras round and then we'll just plug him through out of this. We do need like a moving camera. That'll be quite cool. But this week's guest is Kellie from Kellies Canine, and in this podcast we are going to discuss the journey of how you got into dog grooming, how you went from being employed to self-employed, dog grooming tips and everything in between. So first of all, Kellie, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
You are very welcome. Is this your first podcast?
It's my first podcast, my first proper podcast.
No pressure.
The real deal.
No, well, as I said, all we're going to be doing is having a chat because you've got a remarkable story which I really want to dig into and obviously explain to the audience, as well as giving them some grooming advice, because I feel like grooming is one of those subjects that people kind of overlook, and then when they need to start grooming, all of a sudden their dog doesn't like it, it's not being desensitized to it. So hopefully we can give the audience at home some tips, things they should be practicing as this podcast goes on. So hopefully they'll be better equipped. And I hear that you're the expert.
I'm going to give you my mind. Get ready, get your pens and papers.
So before we get into grooming and everything grooming, when did you know you wanted to work with dogs?
So I didn't originally know I wanted to work with dogs. I just knew that I wanted to work with animals. Mm-hmm. I was in secondary school and I did a work experience job on a city farm for a week. After that, I obviously got to encounter all kinds of animals, from sheep, geese, not dogs, but there were cows and all sorts, and I just found a love for animals. When I left school, I went to college and I did an animal care qualification, and they said I needed to get a work experience job, and I went and I applied in what I thought was a pet shop. On my first day, I got sent to the back of this pet shop, and the first dog I got handed to wash and blow dry was an Akita.
Nice.
It was a big, hairy dog, very hairy. I just remember I went in completely clean and I walked out like I was like a dog, basically, myself, covered in head to toe like a snowstorm had happened. And when I saw an insight that people groom dogs get groomed, this is an actual thing, I think I just then began to realise maybe I could do this. So I'd been kind of trying to find my path, and the work experience job helped me get there, I think. So yeah, that was how I started. And then I was 17 and I needed to find work and a job, and I think I connected with dog grooming.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, an Akita on your first day. I really like those videos that you see on social media, and we'll talk about trends later on, but I quite like the ones where you see people grooming Caucasian Shepherds or Akitas or Huskies, and you just see the fur like everywhere.
Literal snowstorms.
Literally, if you're like wearing black, you just come out with hair everywhere. So what was that like, grooming an Akita for your first dog? Was he a compliant Akita?
He was, lucky enough. He was. I think that they were generous to give me a compliant dog, but also a bit daring to give me such a hairy dog, because I had no experience with how to wash a dog properly, and Akitas being double coated breeds, you have to make sure you get in there and get that coat clean, get all that undercoat out properly, so it was a very intense first job. I was thrown in the deep end. Yeah.
So was that's obviously your first job into grooming. Where did you go after that?
So I stayed at the same, I finished my qualification for pet grooming level 2, for animal care level 2, and then I stayed at the pet shop for about 2 years that I started in, and then after that I got my qualifications to become a pet groomer. So I went back to Capel Manor College, an amazing college, and I got my qualifications there to become pet groomer. I passed, and then I did try to progress in the shop that I was in, unfortunately, they didn't have any positions available for a main groomer. They only had assistant positions available. And for me to spread my wings, I needed to start learning and doing more actual hands-on work, not just being an assistant. So this is a fun fact. So I took a leap of faith and I saw a job advert for a pet salon manager, and I basically thought, so I went for the interview, and there were all members of staff there that had far more experience, far more qualifications, and far more just time on the job. But I managed to get the manager position because I managed to handle dogs that they had been struggling to handle for a very long time, and it just took them all by surprise, basically. So I did apply knowing I'd never worked completely by myself before, let alone as a manager. I'd always just been assistant, and I went straight from assistant to manager role.
Do you know what? That's really cool. I love little stories like that where people just take a chance, they believe in themselves, and then boom, you go and get it. What sort of dogs are you working with?
We were working with all sorts of dogs, from German Shepherd, Bichon Frise, Yorkies, Westies. We were hand stripping Border Terriers. You name it, there wasn't a breed that we wouldn't do. Because I was managing it, I then had to say if I could or couldn't accept a dog. I would obviously do the initial assessment, see what behaviour we had to go over, if there was anything that the dog needed specially done. So I managed to give the dogs that are a little bit of a lighter work to the staff that were able to do that, and then I took on the heavier loads myself, I would say. But yeah.
Okay, so obviously I'm not a dog groomer, and I would hire that bit out if I needed a dog that needed to be groomed. I like to stay in my lane as a dog trainer. I can assist dog groomers in helping dogs be more comfortable, but I always go for dogs that need minimal grooming. Working as a groomer though, you can't really have a fear of dogs. So was you scared at all of any dogs or anything like that, or is that what got you to where you wanted to be, because you just have a I don't give a fuck attitude? Or...
The first dog I was ever truly scared of was a Yorkshire Terrier. No, I'm not joking when I say this. I would cry when it walked in the shop. I couldn't get near this dog because it just knew I was so scared. I would go near the cage and it would already be trying to attack me through it, purely because it could sense my fear. I mean, for starters, rather than being calm towards the dog, I was like in its face. So of course it was going to be like, what the hell are you doing in my face? Because I just couldn't. It had got me bad once, and after that I just couldn't do it again. But yeah, that's it for me.
It's funny though, right? Because smaller dogs, I always compare it. Like I said, if I ever had to separate a dog fight, I would much rather separate two bigger dogs than two smaller dogs, because having two smaller dogs, like, it's like trying to stick your hand in a blender and get a pound coin without getting cut. Whereas with bigger dogs, there's much more to grab hold of. And they get feisty.
Sharp little teeth that they mean it. They mean violence.
We're going to talk about difficult dogs to groom, common breeds, funniest dogs to groom, all of that later on, so we won't stay here too long. But yeah, it is often the small dogs that are the biggest issue, I think, when it comes to all-round behavioural problem. And I think a lot of that isn't because it's a small dog. Yorkshire Terriers are badass. I love them. I love all dogs, but I think it's the expectation we have when it comes to training small dogs versus big dogs. I think small dogs get away with a lot. Yeah. They're far easier to be picked up and carried around and coddled, and not really treated like a dog. Obviously, if you think a Yorkshire Terrier, many people will think either snappy yappy, handbags, that kind of stuff, and it's that ends up them turning into this little Napoleon complex dog. But no, it's hilarious. There's a rescue centre, funny story about a small dog, there's a rescue centre that we help out from time to time, and there's videos of a Pomeranian on my page called Hooch. He now lives with a groomer, actually, Leanne from the Spicy Dog Groomer. But this is a rescue renowned for taking dogs from seizures, police seizures, domestic violence cases. When I went there, they had 2 Akitas that had acid thrown on them. So they do amazing jobs. They take in a lot of pit bulls that can't obviously be homed and things. So this is a sanctuary. It's more like a sanctuary than a rescue. But I got a call going, Adam, I need your help with a dog. I'm like, okay. They're like, don't laugh at us. I was like, okay. That's like, but we've got this Pomeranian. I'm like, okay. None of my staff can get a lead on this dog because it's just savage. Like, as soon as you go to put a lead on it, it's just trying to bite. And as a result, the dog couldn't enjoy the sanctuary. This is a sanctuary that has like a swimming pool and an apparatus for the dogs to climb on and lots of acres to run around. This dog was confined to the kennels because they couldn't safely have it out of the kennels to integrate with the other dogs because they couldn't get a lead on it. But it had bitten like every single member of the kennel. And it didn't just bite, it would literally bite and hold on and rag like a proper little terrier.
Ooh.
So I'm like, okay, so yeah, so I went down there, got a lead on him, absolutely fine, and now he's loving life. But yeah, one of the most difficult dogs I ever worked with, most determined dogs, was that little fucker Hooch.
Little Pomeranian.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I could quite believe that is the case.
Yeah.
So, manager position going well. When did you decide that you wanted to go out and spread your wings by yourself and not work for other people?
So I had been working as a groomer for about, I want to say 7 years when I had eventually decided that, mostly because of my idea of owning a business and the idea around owning a business, the intimidating thought, the thought that that's something that people with money do. That's a very stigmatized thought for me, I guess. I worked for too many people, realizing that I could do the job for myself. If I just taught myself how to fish, I would eat for the rest of my life.
I like that.
And I was scrolling through TikTok one day, scrolling through Instagram actually, and I was feeling a little bit lost, just a bit like, what can my next step be? It's going to take a miracle for me to have to open my own business because I don't have the funds for it. I don't have the intelligence for it. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm completely on a blank page here. I'm just someone with a dream. And I saw Simon Squibb on Instagram. And he was asking people to pitch his ideas. And much like going for the manager position at the grooming shop, again, I thought, what's the worst that could happen? Let me go press that doorbell. Bing bong. Yeah, so that's when I decided that something needed to change. I had been working for someone, and I won't name names and I don't like to talk bad about people, but
No, it's fine.
there were just a couple of things that went wrong in the business behind the scenes, and as a worker that I shouldn't have had to put up with. So I did leave and spread my little wings.
I like that. And no, I won't ask you to name names. Obviously, you followed me. And we're going to speak about how we met briefly in a minute because it blew me away and it's a very interesting story. But anyone that follows Southend dog training, we don't talk ill about other dog trainers, even other dog groomers, things like that. We want our page to be a positive page that makes people laugh, gives them some information, educational to help them with their dog or to help them stay safe in stressful situations. So yeah, we're not about naming companies and things like that. But so yeah, it wasn't going so well. Obviously, things that you shouldn't have to put up with. And you said something that I want to talk about. Obviously, nervous about making a push to go and work for yourself because obviously working for someone else and you're worried about the costs and money. I was very much in the same boat as you. I wasn't working with dogs. I was actually working in a casino and I didn't have a pot to piss in when I started my business 12 years ago. I've realised I've been lying to the audience the whole time. Like for the last year, I've been telling people I've been training dogs for 13 years. I gained a year somewhere because on my Facebook memories that popped up the other day, these were the first posts that I was sharing. They were 12 years old. So apparently I've only been training dogs for 12 years. So I'm not as old as I thought, guys. But yeah, 12 years ago, I didn't have a pot to piss in. Like, I didn't know what to do. Was hating life, baby on the way, and I took a leap of faith on me. Now, getting into dog training, I suppose, could be, in terms of cost, cheaper than, say, grooming, because obviously with grooming, you need either like a van or some sort of grooming equipment. But a lot of people sitting there not taking a leap of faith, if you will. I just want people to realise that you can. That if you trust in yourself and you believe in your abilities and you believe what you do, you've been doing this for 7 years before taking that leap of faith, so you must have had some sort of clue what you was doing. It's not always as difficult as people think. It's always as scary as you think. It's actually scarier than you think. But
that is it. It's the fear.
Turns out it can be one of the best things you ever did. So let's talk about Simon Squibb, because you did you have a dream, you pitched it. What did you say?
To my doorbell pitch?
Yeah.
There's actually a video of it. There's a doorbell pitch. But I think I literally went, okay, at the beginning of the video, I always laugh at it because no one understands why I'm laughing. They just think I'm bubbly. But the laugh at the beginning of the video is generally me thinking I'm mad as hell for talking to a doorbell, trying to reach a man that I've never met before to help my dream. So I went, hi, I'm here from Kelly's Canines. And then continue. And I basically just said that I have a dream. I'm a groomer. I have a plan. I need you to, I need someone like you who believes in dreams to look into this for me. I can't even remember it. It just came on the spot. It was not scripted. I had filmed it once. And I remember when I met the team, they all said that there were like endless rolls of film from the doorbell. And they remembered seeing just this one little clip of this one person, because I hadn't retook it or anything. I didn't know people could retake it. I was like, I'm just going to have to come back tomorrow. It's okay, baby. So I basically said, I want you to invest in my dream. And he did. He contacted me.
That's incredible, though, because obviously you got all those people. We have a dog here, guys, who's never been here before. A young dog, quite a nervy dog, and there was just a bang that went off in the distance, which has unsettled the dog a little bit. So fear not. If you're listening at home, the dog is fine. He's just heard a little bang, and I'm sure people at home can relate to a dog that barks when it hears a bang, or even a dog that may be in a new place and not very comfortable. But obviously lots of people applied for it. Why do you think they chose you?
I think they tried to help as many people as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't know why they chose me.
I've got an inkling, right, because of something that you said. And you, obviously
I'm like, ooh.
he was just there. It was raw, it's authentic, and I think authenticity goes a very long way in life. If you are just yourself versus doing a pitch, oh no, I'm going to retake that, oh no, I'm going to retake that, to make it almost perfect and scripted, if you will. I hate scripted things because it's literally that. You're reading from a script. Is it necessarily you, and things like that? Doing it in one take, being nervous, being giggly, you probably stood out as being raw and authentic, and I think that goes a long way. So, Simon Squibb, I have a dream. What happened from there?
He reached out to me. I suddenly received a spam of calls and messages like the world was going to end. They're like, we need to get hold of you. Where are you? Answer your phone. And I was like, this man's calling me on Instagram. Cool. How did they find my Instagram? Oh, you're after my handles. He basically said to me, look, we want to speak to you about your dream. Can you do a pop-up grooming stand? We're going to meet at this location. And the location changed a couple of times. And no matter where he said, the distance kept getting further and further. And no matter where he said, I was like, yep, I'll be there. Yep, I'll be there. Where you want me, I'll be there. And I was just so committed. Like, there was nothing I would say no to. I was completely yes theory about it. Mm-hmm. So it was, no shot was going to be shot down. I wasn't going to find excuses why something could happen. I wasn't going to find reasons. Like, I was going to make it happen no matter where I could. So I was like, right, I'll be there. So we turned up to Portsmouth, which was quite a long drive away. And Simon turned up in a dog costume, in a dog car, and was like, yeah, we're going to the Isle of Wight Dog Festival. We didn't have tickets, we didn't have a booking, we didn't even have a stall there. We turned up in the dog car and we spoke to security and said, is there any chance we can park in the centre of your pitch with no tickets, no licensing, no nothing, and see what this groomer can do, basically. And we went in, they allowed us to do it. I set up my little grooming stand, and that's when I knew, like, this is not the time for waffling, okay? I was off. Simon gave me one instruction: you have to get 3 reviews by the end of the day. And before he could finish his sentence, I was halfway across the field picking up dogs. I was like, I need your dog. I need you and your dog.
Crazy lady, can I just borrow your dog?
Literally. Hey, your dog's cute. I need him.
Help.
So, yeah, I got carried away for the day, to be honest, and I could just, see the team across the field giving out ice creams and doing their thing, and I was like, look, I don't know what I'm meant to be doing, but all I know is I'm doing my purpose right now, and that's all I'm going to do, and I'm sure that's the point, that's the moral, surely. So I did like 11 dogs. I didn't fully groom them, but I offered them services like health checks, welfare checks, claw clipping, I did some dematting, I did some eye cleaning, little bits and bobs like tidying up and whatnot that I could do safely on the spot. And yeah, Simon was like, you haven't stopped today, like you actually just haven't stopped. Like he even tried to stop me to get me to eat, and I was like, babes, there are dogs that need me, like we did. So yeah, it was great.
A little bit of determination will get you everywhere. So I've got 2 questions. Obviously we'll link that video for the people watching on YouTube, because I actually watched that video a couple of days ago, and I watched it when it first came out, but obviously being a professional host of a podcast, I like to make sure that I'm doing my research. Yeah. 2 questions that I've got from that video. The dog car, yeah. Where is it now?
The dog car, it got scrapped.
Aww.
Yes, R.I.P. It was a Facebook Marketplace car. It had oil leak. It had corrosion underneath that was really intense. It had a couple of problems wrong with the ignition coils.
It was a Mondeo, wasn't it? Or a Fiesta, or...
It was a Ford. It was a Ford something. That's the problem. Because it had the dog wrap that was put on with carpet adhesive. Yep, carpet adhesive. To insure that car as a newly modified car, it's obviously
more than the car's worth.
4.5k it quoted me. 4.5k
for a £500 car.
I could get a grooming van with that price. I was like, I love it, it's cute, but the carpet adhesive isn't coming off, neither's the carpet, and the car is a mess. It's got a tail, for God's sake.
It reminds me a lot of, for the audience listening that are old enough to know this film, and I hope you'll know this film.
Yeah.
Dumb and Dumber.
That's exactly where they got the idea from. That was their genius idea, and I didn't know it until they told me and showed me it, and I was like, I'm gonna have to go watch this film. Oh my God, this is crazy.
Had you not watched Dumb and Dumber?
No. I don't watch dog films, they make me cry.
It's not a dog film.
I don't know.
It's a film about 2 best friends that are thick as shit. Just one of them happens to be a dog groomer.
Stop it, that's actually me.
Hence Dumb and Dumber.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's there's only they drive around in a van like the car, and they're idiots. None of the dogs are strapped down. They're giving them hot dogs, and when they stop, all the dogs are covered in ketchup and mustard.
Oh, no.
But yeah, that's how they're trying to make their money, is by dog grooming, and obviously you got that vehicle. So that's question number 1. Hopefully some of you guys would have actually watched Dumb and Dumber.
More cultured than me.
Yeah. Second question. The dog outfit that Simon was wearing, where did that come from? What?
He got it off of Amazon, and it went into the eternal abyss. It basically went into the Bermuda Triangle, because I asked for that costume, and I have no idea where Simon put it. So I'm going to have to invest in one of my own, I think. But yeah, he came up in this dog costume. And there are also some funny clips that aren't in the main YouTube video of him crawling across the road in this dog costume attached to the lead. So if anyone wants to see Simon Squibb crawl across a road in front of traffic attached to a dog lead, go check out that video.
The advertisement idea, though, of having you train dogs in the Isle of Wight is genius. And I think if anybody's thinking about starting their own business and things like that, something that I used to do when I first started dog training was I would take my own dog and I'd go to a popular park where there would be lots of human traffic and dogs and stuff like that, and I'd just do training, and I would do that every day. I'd put the dogs like in a down and I'd walk away from them further than most people would expect you to, do off-lead hill work, just do tricks and things, and you start drawing in a crowd. And once you start drawing a crowd, then people want to ask questions. That's where my first dog I ever trained come from, was because here's some guy who was watching me train Sammy, who's not here anymore, and then asked where I took her. I said I'd do it all myself, and he asked if I would train his dog, and I thought he was messing around, and that's how it come about. So a nice little tip for anybody that's wanting to get into the dog world somehow, just set up a table. If you've got a dog, want to get into training,
as long as you've got qualifications and know what you're doing, because scissors are sharp, blades are sharp, dogs can get hurt, and they will get hurt. Ensure yourself as well.
Yeah, that's more in reference to if you've done your grooming courses, or you're like Kellie that worked as a groomer and now wants to go out by themselves. Don't just pick up a pair of scissors, take your dog to a park and start freaking giving it a haircut. No. Plus the longevity of that, you're going to have to wait a while for it to come back and things like that. I wouldn't groom a dog. I would, beyond brushing and putting eardrops in if that was necessary and checking them over for lumps, bumps and abnormalities, which is the reason why grooming is very important, by the way. I leave that to the professionals. But
I also think that a very important part of it is, if someone is going to do it, then they're going to do it. The main thing I think as a dog groomer is to make sure they do it safe. So when I get a client that comes to me and they say, look, I can't afford grooming, at the end of the day, no matter what you say, I'm going to groom my dog at home. My next step, rather than to argue with them, is like, right, if you're going to be doing this at home, let me equip you with the right information and tools you need to cause as minimal harm as possible and to keep you and your pet as safe as possible. So I know it sounds like a very dodgy statement, but like Adam, my mentor from Help Bank, taught me this. There's lots of Adams. He basically says, do it once, do it well. And that applies to everything in life. If you do a task to your full ability and do it properly, you'll never have to go back and do it again the second time.
Slow is smooth and smooth is fast as well.
Yeah, I like that. So, yeah.
I tell my clients all the time, like, because I will take their dog if it's misbehaving and like, oh my god, you make it look so easy. I'm like, yeah, but I've been doing this for a long time now, 12 years, not 13. And then they'll try and do it, and it's all sloppy and messy. But they're trying to do it fast. I'm like, just slow down. Mm-hmm. Just do it properly first. Yeah, and speed will come with repetitions. Master it first. I actually learned that from the casino. Like, just when you're starting, just do it slowly, efficiently, but do it slowly, do it right, and then the speed and everything comes with it.
Mine was my driving instructor that taught me that. Yeah, he always taught me to just slow down, and if you're unsure about something, peep and creep. And I know that's used for turning out of roads, but you can also use it in life. Like, just if you're not sure, just slow down. Like, why are you running if you can't walk?
But it's great life advice more than anything else, and you can apply that to, obviously you're applying it to yourself, but people can apply it to having a reactive dog. One of the things that is so important to people is when they got a reactive dog, you have a tendency to become reactive with it. You start panicking, flapping around, freaking out, and I'm like, stop, breathe, slow down. You'll be amazed at what happens. I've got a video on my social media of a client walking past with his dog, and I get one of my trainers to come out of the blue to reenact like what might happen in the real world, and he saw the dog and he tensed up straight away, so his dog's gone mental, and I was like, right, do me a favour, relax, loosen off your shoulders, take a deep breath for me, head up, shoulders up, and just walk past. He did it, and the dog didn't react. Like, it's
our overstimulation can sometimes react overstimulation and other things.
That's why I like dogs, because it teaches me to be grounded. Now, I haven't always been grounded. I've been a bit of a knob and a tearaway, but they do remind me to stay.
Is that a common trend with people that work with dogs? Because at some point in my life, I was a bit like ungrounded and a tearaway myself, you know, a bit like in my personal life, I would say. And then you get that closer relationship with dogs and suddenly they teach you how to communicate without even speaking, and you suddenly have this whole further understanding of humans and living things, and you're like, oh, okay. Yeah.
I think it with dogs, it teaches you to sort of look after something, to spend time with someone that wants for nothing effectively. A belly scratch, bum scratch, some freaking biscuits here and there, and a freaking walk. Like, it teaches you to spend time with something that loves unconditionally, effectively. And a lot of people that do get into dogs, and this isn't for everyone, I'm not saying all of the, but a lot of people do effectively have some sort of trauma in their past, and that's why they sort of shift over to animals, and it's because dogs and animals in general are better than people.
Yep.
So spending time with them, you can just escape unfortunately you can't escape that forever, because with animals comes people.
Yes. Hardest parts of my job are not dealing with the animals, it's sometimes dealing with the owners. Now, I love every single one of my clients, but it has taken a journey for some things in the past to, in my own fault, to be able to communicate to owners properly. I was perfectly fine working with the dogs. My real struggle in my job was learning how to communicate with people.
But there are a lot of people that don't do well with dogs, and not because they don't have the ability or skill, it's because of the people aspect of it. I know people that have stopped training dogs because they can't deal with the people anymore. The hardest part of my job, and I'm sure it'd be the hardest part of your job, isn't actually dealing with the dog. Yeah, you remove the human, the dog's the easy part.
Adam said it, not me.
But what makes a good groomer, a good dog trainer, a good vet is having people skills, the ability to communicate, the ability to read that room, the ability to transfer your knowledge onto them effectively so they can keep up the work at home. When people ask me what the hardest breed to train is, I always turn around and say it's humans. Dogs are easy, but you have to be able to work with humans, and a lot of people, they don't have it because you don't have good people skills. If you want to start a business, guys, make sure you've got good people skills, make sure you're patient, make sure that what you think in your head doesn't necessarily come out of your mouth.
Yeah, and it would take a couple of lessons, especially for me. It did at the beginning. I used to have to communicate something to an owner, and the dog would come back matting again, and then I would have to reassess how I had explained it to the owner to see what I could do different to get that through properly. And I then felt bad for a number of times the dog kept coming back matted. Was it me? Was it something I wasn't communicating? And then you find that balance of how to communicate it properly. And I've also realised kinesthetic learning, if you show people monkey see, monkey do, that's when they begin to learn the most. So yeah,
I agree totally. That's why we're very hands-on with our training. I like to, if I do a seminar or working with a client, I will take their dog and I will show them how it's done.
Yeah.
That the dog can do it, that it is possible. Then I have to transfer it to them. And obviously with our online training group, it helps so many people worldwide, the Southend Dog Training app, but it doesn't help everyone. And that's because, as you said, some people have to actually physically see it. They have to have you in person. Like, you have to be ready to touch people in your job. Like, you have to ask permission first. But but
not me.
But simple things like if somebody's tensing up with a lead, I'm like, do you mind if I touch you? And and you can almost like hold their hand and show them when they should be pulling up, when they should be relaxing, and things like that. Some people need that sort of hands-on, see it in person. But for a lot of people, they can learn things online and stuff like that. So it swings and roundabouts. But yeah, you have to be a good teacher, a good communicator to people, and you also have to learn when to say no.
Yes.
When to realise you're wasting your time, because time is precious. When to get a little bit more authoritative, when to be a little bit more sensitive.
very difficult because you're going to face a lot of situations. As a pet groomer, I face people that don't want their dog shaved, but the dog's in a bad condition. You're then in an argument between the owner's decision and the dog's welfare. What do you do as a groomer? Like, the dog can't argue on your side and say it's in pain, and the owner doesn't want to see your point of view because it doesn't want a shaved dog. You then have to find the balance of helping that owner understand that the dog's welfare is at risk, and that if they love and care for their dog, they would do what is best for the dog and work on something going forward. Yeah.
So you've met Simon Squibb. Yeah, you've pitched your dream. You've done some dog shows, grooming, and everything like that. How did I come into this? Because Simon Squibb contacted me, and I weren't sure how much of this you all know and everything, but Simon contacted me and went, hi, I'm doing this, making people's dreams come true. I've got this groomer, this young groomer, and we're trying to make her business take off. But she said that you're someone that she looks up to in the dog industry, and was wondering if we could do a surprise Zoom with her. And I was like, this is weird. Like, well, one, it blows my mind that anybody thinks I'm a role model, right? But it's the fact that I'm thinking, what? Does this person know? Is she just going to go there and one day my face is going to be there? Like, what's going on? Like, hi, I'm Adam. So what happened there?
I think because of the latter, you don't see yourself the way everyone else sees you, because it's you. And to you, you're just Adam. You're like, huh? But at the end of the day, when what you have shown to the world, when your purpose reaches other people and they can see your purpose, that becomes something more to follow than anything you see on social media is the purpose. And it was pretty bizarre for me, because I did sit and think, why don't I have any grooming people like that I look up to? Because at the end of the day, to groom a dog appropriately, you have to understand how to read it, which means training. And I'm not in any sense a trainer. I don't train dogs myself. That is not a service I offer. I don't understand about 50% of it. I'm still trying with my own pup. But when you see someone who has made your job easier because of the advice they've shown through their videos, and that's for pet training, like that's helped with pet grooming, then automatically, what's the criteria to become a hero? You've saved those dogs' lives, and then you're helping me help these dogs because of the advice that you are showing to the world. That's all I need for someone to become a hero to me, as far as I'm concerned. Like, you're helping me help other people, other dogs, and that's crazy. So that's why I thought that you were my hero over everyone else. Even before I met you, I was always saying to everyone, like, if you've not trained your dog, look at Adam, this is who you need to follow, like sharing your pages left, right and centre. And then he put me on the spot with a question. He was like, so who's your hero? And I was like, don't question it, but it's Adam Spivey, okay? And I actually, don't hate me, I didn't even know your name. I just knew you were the Southend dog trainer, and I knew everything about your purpose and your mission, the stuff you do, but I didn't know too much about you, because I just don't know, like, I don't like to rely on what use is it going to be knowing so much personal information about stuff? I got to the point, I got to the purpose, the mission was there, the goal was set, the information was all I needed. That is an absolute hero for not only me but the dogs as well. So, like, who else was I gonna? It's cool.
I'm pretty speechless, which doesn't happen often. I don't ever really look at it like that, because I'm just that small town boy from Essex. But when it does blow my mind, and this is why I take things so seriously with our page and using the page for good, because there are people that see it, and obviously like yourself, and having a platform to use for help. That's why we spoke about addiction on the platform. It's why we spoke about mental health on the platform. It's why we speak about dog and child safety, as well as how to train your dog. And that's what it's there for. And I feel very privileged to have that. But yeah, thank you. You made me a little bit speechless. So I have to ask, right? So that was completely off the cuff surprise then, was it? Because when because your reaction when you come on was like great. Oh my god, like yeah, so did you have any idea that was going to happen?
So I sat in front of him while he messaged you, but
because I saw the video today. It's like, well, we'll message him right now.
Yeah, when it happened, Simon Squibb was at a total of 400,000 followers. He wasn't as big as he is now. You was way more above him in the following, and I thought this man is big enough to make my dream happen with pet grooming and advise me on business stuff. But get the Southend dog trainer to message me. Now he's dreaming. Yeah, I didn't expect it. And I think it was just kind of that little motivation. Like, they say never meet your heroes. I don't know. Simon started out as my hero, and then I met him just from what I'd seen about his purpose. And then I was like, well, what's the worst that can happen? You've not killed me yet. But it was just, to be able to speak to you then about your purpose, your mission. It gives you that push to go forwards. And I think Simon sees sometimes that people need purpose, and I think at the time he saw that I was going through so much that I was struggling to see my own purpose. So to be able to connect back with my purpose, the core of things, that is what sets you back on the road to success.
I love that. And going back to the follower thing, obviously 400, what we've got. The other thing is, followers don't mean anything to me. My followers mean everything to me, before somebody twists my words. But if somebody messaged me, I couldn't care if they got one follower or if they got freaking 10 million followers. If someone's genuine, and this is the whole point of these podcasts, is I don't actually care how big somebody's following is on this podcast. I'm not looking for that big name that's got more than me, that could maybe take us to another level. Evan, my business partner, suggested some people that we should reach out to collab with, and I'm like, no, because I just can't see myself sitting down with them and doing a podcast. Like, if I don't care about that person's story, or don't feel like I gel with that person, I'm not going to sell my soul for the sake of more followers. And so I don't care about followers. We've had people on here that have got big following, we've got people that have got like next to no following. It's about having conversations with people that have interesting stories that I actually care about. So
I appreciate it. I do. Thank you.
So we sat down, we had a Zoom, gave you some dog training advice for how you can use that to help potentially difficult dogs grooming. Where did you go after that? So obviously Simon gave you some money to help you start your business. How is that going now, grooming wise?
So overall, the initial word that comes to mind is amazing. It's going amazing. Now, my idea of amazing might not be other people's idea of amazing.
Subjective.
But the business has progressed more than I ever imagined it could. And it's not reached the goals that are unspeakable yet, but for me, by myself. So I live by myself. I don't have support from friends or family. Oh no, I have support from friends. I have amazing friends, actually. I made them. Hi guys. I have amazing friends, but I don't have family, like blood family. It's just me. I have to support myself with my bills, my day in, day out life, regular schedule, regular everything. Like, I maintain everything. And things went a little bit slower than I would have liked. I got the money from Simon Squibb, and I invested it in a grooming trailer for 3.5k. The grooming trailer didn't actually end up working out. Where it was located, I was unable to keep it there long term, and I didn't have a vehicle that could tow this trailer around. So I sold it for 4.5k, and I made some money back. A little bit about me. I was in a little bit of debt when I started out, which I've managed to clear it, sons. I've managed to clear it. So I spent the last 2 years basically clearing my debt, building up a client base, grooming dogs, working on my skills and further expanding myself. So amongst that has been going to box park events at Wembley. It's been creating a treat brand, if that's the right word, product. So I've created a product. I've got my own treats that are going to be launched soon. That's something that I never thought I'd do. They're going to be salmon and peanut butter bites for the first treats, first batch of taste. What do you call that? It just gets so confusing, like, this is what I mean when I say I'm not completely business savvy yet. I'm still building that road. So products are something that I have to learn. But since then, I would love to say that we've done a lot more, but we've basically built a really extensive client base. We've launched a treat brand, and we are aiming to get a grooming van. So the next step is a pet grooming van. Now, I know that some people are under the impression that I already have the grooming van because it says it in a book. I just want to clarify, I don't have a grooming van yet, and there is a GoFundMe for it, which is in my bio to help go towards that.
We'll link it in the description.
Thank you.
And we'll remind everyone at the end about that. You can tell them all about it. You got a GoFundMe page for obviously the grooming van.
Yeah, and everything's like listed on that page, what the money goes out for, what's needed for it. So far it's had some amazing support and I'm so unbelievably grateful. But the last 2 years, to be completely raw and honest, was sorting out my mental health, sorting out my debt and sorting out myself so I'm in a stable position to run and maintain a business completely and solely by myself. First year we didn't make profit, we were clearing my personal debt. Second year, this year, just about breaking even. We're rolling over into the third year where our client base is getting bigger than ever. And I can't believe I've got to mention this, but yesterday I had like the most amazing meeting and I partnered up with this company called Sphere who work on behalf of Google, not for Google. One of the things I struggle with is sitting behind a computer and actual dealing with computer stuff. I don't know how to get on Google. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. So I've partnered up with this company and they are getting me on Google. So as of tomorrow, we're going to be on Google. Everything is going to be launched on there. So it's going to be like our mini website on Google with all of our services and everything. And I think that's one thing that stopped me from progressing and getting as many clients as I could not being on Google. So it's been slow progress, but I'm so proud of all the moves I've made so far and I am making. Next steps are grooming van, treats, and to take over the world. But yeah, that's what's happened so far.
Oh, I love that. Did you have any mentors or inspirations when you were thinking about getting into dog grooming or got into dog grooming? Was there anyone that springs to mind?
Apart from you, when I was doing dog grooming, there's one lady, but only because she's just brilliant, and her name is I think it's Paparazzi Pets, and her name's Jess. She lives in, like, I don't know much about her. I just know her face and her videos and her skills. But she just phenomenal groomer, way she handles dogs, way she manages dogs. The business she's created for herself. If I could aspire to be like anyone, it would be like Paparazzi Pets with the van and the just charisma she has and her thrill for life and grooming dogs. Yeah.
That name sounds vaguely familiar. Like I don't know why, but Paparazzi Pets is like I feel like I've heard it or know it.
She's quite popular, I think. She comes up in a lot of people's For You pages, especially if you like follow dog stuff. But yeah,
I don't know the name of it, but I see every now and again on YouTube, for example, a video of this groomer that is just grooming like mastiffs and giant dogs, and her videos get millions of views. Like I don't know who it is, but yeah, she's always like doing some grooming with these giant dogs that are like bigger than her, and I think that
yeah. I've not seen that one. I've seen a couple, but yeah, I gotta say she screams out to me.
Okay, right. So let's talk some dog grooming then, shall we? Obviously, we know there are always exceptions to the rules. A lot of it is down to the breeding, the genetics, early exposure, and the training that goes into a dog that will often determine sort of how they're going to be. But on average, what is the breed that you see that is most difficult to groom? Obviously, we mentioned the Yorkshire Terrier earlier.
It's not a Yorkshire Terrier though.
No. What breed do you see most problematic when you groom them, and what breed do you sit there and go, oh, this is generally on average quite an easy dog to groom? Like,
okay, the hardest, most difficult for me, and I think that it's the hardest because the owners that get these breeds of dogs don't know how to handle them themselves. Chow Chows.
Okay. And Chow Chows require a lot of grooming, yeah? Or
yes and no. Essentially, it's just a de-shed, a bath, a blow dry, and a brush out. And as an assistant and a groomer, they are what you primarily start on. So they, for me, automatically become the easiest. You don't have to cut the hair, you don't have to use clippers, you don't have to do anything. So with the temperament removed, the dog itself would be a gorgeous breed to groom. But because of the temperament, they become very dominant, they become very powerful, they don't warn you, they don't give you an inkling of like...
They're quiet, aren't they?
They're very quiet. They're the silent assassins of the pet grooming world. Yeah.
Yeah, I was asked about Chows the other day and my opinion on Shar-Peis. The thing is, if I do a live and somebody goes, what do you think of this breed, and I'll give my opinion on it, next thing you know, the comment section, what about this dog, what about this dog?
Yeah.
So we ended up about a good 10-15 minutes on a live, just my opinions on what I think of this dog or this dog or this dog. And I'll tell people, remember, my opinion is that of myself and may not necessarily be for you. Just because I don't want that breed of dog and I would never own that breed of dog doesn't mean because you own it it's a bad thing. It just suits your lifestyle and doesn't suit mine. But somebody asked me what do I think about a Chow for a first time dog owner, and I was like, it's a terrible choice of dog. Absolutely fucking terrible choice of dog. In the right hands with somebody that's knowledgeable, got the dog for the right reasons, not because it looks like a cute teddy bear as a puppy, because that's the main reason why people get a Chow, because they get it because of how it looks as a puppy. This big ball of fur, and don't get me wrong, they're cute as anything. Same as Shar-Peis, they're quite similar to Shar-Peis in temperament. Shar-Peis are the same, although I think they look like a wrinkly ball sack when they're a puppy, but a lot of people think it looks a bit like an armadillo. It's quite cute with all those wrinkles, but they don't actually truly research the history of the breed, what that breed was designed to do, those traits and what it means to have a dog like that.
Yeah, but one of the things that infuriates me the most is because people get a dog because of looks. As a groomer, the health conditions that come with Shar-Peis are beyond. If you don't know how to care for a Shar-Pei in its skin, you are going to have a lot of problems and a lot of vet bills. Same with French Bulldogs, them being brachycephalic, them having that crease up here because they're so brachycephalic. Pugs the same. Like they think, oh, but it's just breathing, it's just making that noise. If you clear those folds in that dog's skin, you're going to see infections, gunk, build up, all kinds of things, red, sore, if it's not cleaned and maintained properly. And that is one of the number of problems we have come in with. Yeah,
the breeds you mentioned, in terms of dogs, that can be quite unhealthy. There's a lot of sort of complications that can come with a Shar-Pei. For example, many of them need an operation on their eyelids. Obviously they can get problems within the wrinkles and things. They're prone to allergies, sensitive skins, all of this stuff, and obviously Frenchies with the breathing difficulties and stuff like that. So obviously research the breed. We've recently just had somebody on a podcast that's had a torrid time with a French Bulldog. It's got one of two dogs on record that has got the condition, and I won't, any spoiler alerts in case this comes out before or after, I won't go into it, but really interesting podcast about the dark side of bad breeding when it comes to brachycephalic dogs. That's what that podcast was focused on. But Chows, lovely temperament within its immediate family, good with children, good with the people that it knows, but can be very standoffish with strangers. They are very quick to react. Like if you compare it to, say, a Labrador, you're going to hit the threshold of a Chow way quicker than hitting, say, the threshold of a Labrador or even a Staffy. Staffies have an incredible tolerance, very high threshold before they switch to a bite. Of course, there are exceptions to the rules. And if you don't socialise it properly or you don't understand the breed, then they can become very problematic. We see it if somebody brings me a Chow. I must admit, I'm like, I really hope this person's got the Chow for the right reason, because if it's somebody that hasn't, and it is 9 out of 10 of them, as soon as you start trying to get it to do something it doesn't want to do, it throws a bitch fit, hissy fit, not having it. So, and
they're strong dogs, and very strong dogs,
which a lot of people don't realise.
Because they look, they're just hair.
They're a badass dog.
Muscle,
There's a lot of stopping power in that dog. Really cool dog. Too much slobber, too much fur for me, personally, to ever consider a Chow. So that's obviously one of the ones that can be most difficult. Again, it's down to the owner more than anything else. Obviously, you're going to see the best and worst of every breed through your grooming, same as we're going to see the best and worst of every breed through dog training. We're going to see great examples of dogs, and we're going to see not so great examples. What breed is the easiest?
German Shepherd.
Really?
For me, yes.
Wow. I was not. If you'd asked me to, I would not have said that. Mainly because German Shepherds are probably the number one breed that we see. And a lot of them are not great candidates to be grooming straight off the bat.
I've groomed a lot of German Shepherds, a lot of them that have had difficult temperaments. And I think that's... If I groomed more Chow Chows, maybe I would have become better with them, but they're so few and far between that I don't get enough practice. But German Shepherds, yeah, because the grooming requirements are easier as well. So the stuff that you're able to do with them, they're not going to be triggered the same. So clippers, don't use them on the dog, so they're not got this weird items. It's basically just a bath, a de-shed, and a blowout. And if you can do those things safely and comfortably without causing too much drama for the dog, then you're fine. And if you do it properly, so if you get the bath good enough, clean enough, then you're not going to blast that dog for as long to get its coat dry. So it's about knowing how to do it. The cleaner the dog's coat, the quicker it dries. The smoother the undercoat brushes. Use the right products to help you, use the right tools. So a lot of dogs are going to suffer because the wrong tools are used.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it.
Okay. I love German Shepherds. It is a breed of dog that I would personally own myself, because I have to say this sometimes, because we do live in a world where people hear what they want to hear and don't necessarily listen to everything. Like if I talk about French Bulldogs, for example, people automatically think I hate French Bulldogs because I talk about them being an unhealthy breed. But I actually really love the personality of them.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are going to be people out there now that might be listening to this with a Chow that are going to go, Chows aren't like this. And I'm like, I didn't say Chows are bad. Like, I didn't.
No.
Yeah. And same as German Shepherds. When I went, really? And they're going to be like, yeah, of course German Shepherds are easy to train. What are you saying about German? But German Shepherds, great temperament. Again, it's one of those ones that they make a really well-rounded family dog. Like, if you know what you are doing with a German Shepherd, you couldn't really ask for more in a family dog.
Absolutely.
Problem we see, and the reason it does surprise me is because we see so many German Shepherds, and a lot of it is getting a German Shepherd either from rescue, because a lot of them are in rescue, and maybe being a little bit out of your depth to begin with, or taking on a dog with behavioural problems, or somebody getting a German Shepherd that didn't research the breed, probably shouldn't have a goldfish, let alone a freaking dog that the police and military love to use, and things like that. So we do see a lot of really anxious, like, gnarly German Shepherds. We also see lovely German Shepherds. So what would you do if you had an aggressive dog? Do you the dogs that you wouldn't groom, or how would you go about it? If I was to ring you up, go, Kelly, I've got a dog. It's really hates being groomed. How would you go about that?
So, dependent with the services I offer. First, I ask the owner if they're more comfortable having the dog groomed at my house or at their house.
Mm-hmm.
And second of all, if the owner's comfortable being around with this dog. I also then, before I even promise them anything, excuse me, I then get into the fact that this is a nervous dog, and for me, the dog comes first. As soon as that dog starts showing any sign that he's... And now obviously there are limits. There are things that dogs will do to get out of things and they're not really in pain. But if this dog starts showing true signs of being uncomfortable or aggression or anything like that, we postpone the grooming straight away. But the main thing is, when we are first starting out, the goal is not to get the whole job done. Mm-hmm. The goal is to start. So I'm going to say, look, first session, I'm going to come round, we're going to meet each other, depending on how reactive the dog is. First session could be, we're going to meet each other. This dog needs to get to know me and be comfortable around me in my presence. And I'm not going to be in the dog's business. It's just going to get to know my scent. If the dog's comfortable and happy with that, the first step is going to be becoming familiar with the dog being touched and having those tools around it. So obviously, working with slip leads. If I think a muzzle is appropriate, then I will use it, and I always make the owners aware of this, but it is not actually always my go-to to use, shockingly enough. And I know a lot of groomers do that, but sometimes if you've got a dog that's calm and you're predicting it's going to be anxious, so you go about and you shove a muzzle on its face and you're all in its business, that can make it more reactive. So actually it's kind of like my last resort to use a muzzle, only when this dog is really going to cause some damage to me. Other than that, I respect its space. We're not going to try to let it get to that stage. The first grooming session is not going to be a complete grooming session. It's going to be just a bath, or it's going to be just a de-shed or a desensitizing session. Second session, again, it's going to be, we're going to go one step next, or even just the same amount as we went. And I basically take it off of the dog's body language, and I communicate that through and constantly with the owner. One dog I would absolutely love to talk about, my baby Jasper. So I had this dog come to me, and I had another groomer message me. He was moving towns or cities, I think. I think they might have came from Southend or somewhere. Okay. Yeah, moving to London, and the groomer messaged me. They put a post out, we're looking for a new groomer for a reactive dog. Jasper's a cockapoo. First time I ever met Jasper, he just lunged at me without even wanting to give me a second chance, right? And this dog, I just ignored him. I'm going to talk to his owners. I'm not here to tend to Jasper right now. He can just get to know me. And then again, first session, this dog, I'm surprised they came back to me after the first haircut I did, because this haircut was it was to make the dog, it was to make Jasper happy, not to make the owners happy. He was shaved on a 7F, and if you don't know, that's 3 millimeters of hair. Okay, it's shaved, if your dog was matted. But I would like to clarify that the other groomer did tell me that this is what Jasper usually has, because they can't maintain long and fluffy lengths on him. It's what works with Jasper. So we had the most appalling groom done the first time, and he looked, honestly, like a shaved rat. But Jasper was happy, and he was comfortable because he hadn't been tugged around. He hadn't been, had all these dryers shoved in his face and whatnot. He was groomed, safe, and happy. His owners were absolutely lovely about it, and because they were understanding that Jasper's needs had been met, they then brought him back to keep going. And I would just like to say that now Jasper he will not leave my side even when he's off lead. He is my literal best friend when he comes to my house. There's not a single thing that Jasper won't let me do to him. There's not a single thing that Jasper, even his owners are shocked by it. They're like, we cannot believe that you've built such a relationship. And he comes and stays with me for weeks on end sometimes when his family goes away.
I know I sat you down before this podcast and allowed you to go over the questions so you wasn't spontaneously surprised, but I do have a question for you that isn't on here, based on what you just said, and don't worry, it's not one of those ones that's going to really put you on the spot. Number one, how important is grooming? Obviously, these are almost rhetorical questions for the audience listening at home that go, this guy really knows nothing. How important is grooming? How seriously should people be taking grooming seriously?
Well, if anyone had a dog during COVID and they saw the outcome of that dog, then that should be an answer. Now, to anyone who didn't have a dog, let me explain some things. So people will leave their dogs to go without a haircut and find excuses for it. But when the excuse is that there's COVID, you will start to realise and see just how much fluffy little Teddy becomes Shaun the sheep. So they will constantly grow hair. It doesn't stop growing in long-haired breeds. And under that, the hair will lock together like dreadlocks, and it creates matting. That matting will create tightening on the skin and will begin to pull it, creating sores, redness, tightening, and irritation. Once that matting gets worse, there are going to be things living in that coat. So when it's summer, you're going to get grass seeds. These will impale the pores between the toes. It could be under the gums, it could be eyes, it could be any parts of this body. It's bad enough having a short-haired dog or a maintained dog with grass seeds, let alone a matted dog with grass seeds, because they will travel through the veins and into the heart, through the bloodstream, and they will be life-threatening, and they will cause an infection at the wound opening site. Dogs, we get up in the morning and we wash our face and we wipe our eyes and we do all of this. Have you ever noticed when you don't wipe your dog's face how it starts getting like the River Nile down its little eyes? Mm-hmm. It doesn't just get wet. After months of build-up, this becomes sore, irritated, infected. It becomes gunky. It then becomes a thick, solid lump that when you even attempt to get it off, it's going to take a layer of the skin with it. And that is when, as a groomer, you need to become friends with a 40 blade. And that is just a message for other groomers out there, because picking that off will take a layer of skin with it. Dogs get overheated, dogs become uncomfortable. Grooming is one of the most important things you could do for your dog. It allows you to identify lumps, bumps, skin conditions. So Jasper that I was telling you about, Jasper has a lump just under his left arm, the size of a golf ball. Now, if it wasn't for me maintaining and watching that lump, of course his parents are, but they aren't professionals. Without you knowing what you're doing with things like that, the dog has potential to suffer, because don't forget, you're the one communicating that through to the owner. So I would overall say that grooming is one of the most important things. Now, I'm not saying if you've got a short-haired French bulldog, or like my little Freddie here, he's short-haired. I haven't bathed him. I've bathed him once in the entire time I've had him. But grooming relies on more than just bathing. Grooming relies on checking between the toes, checking parts of the body that need checking all over, searching between the fur, de-shedding. So although I don't bath him because I love his cheesy smell, which is my guilty pleasure, he still gets a de-shed because that undercoat has to come out. I still have to check his skin for ticks, fleas, lumps, bumps, and all of those things.
That for me is one of the most important things. And why people should be checking their dog every single day, and when they get a dog, getting it comfortable, having its paws checked, tails, ears, gums, everywhere. Because by doing that, by giving them a brush after a walk, a rub down after a walk with a towel, by spending time just touching them all over, you can start to recognise if there's a tick there, or if there's some bumps or abnormalities that weren't there. And by doing it every single day, you would definitely notice, the same as you notice with yourself.
Yeah.
If you did that and went, what was a lump?
Yeah.
There isn't, by the way. But I found it live. Yeah, if you... And that's why you should be doing it for the dog, like, because you don't want to not groom your dog, or groom your dog like once a month, twice a month, or something like that. And I'm not talking extensive grooming, but the longer you leave it, the less chance
you are of spotting it.
Yeah, so there's that, and it's also the pain aspect. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, because I like to use analogies in layman's terms. I know dogs aren't humans, but I find that if I make human references, it's a language people can understand. So I say a dog with like matted fur would kind of be the equivalent to you having curly hair that's got all knotted and you trying to run a brush through it, how painful that can be.
Yeah, to put it simple, it's like having dreadlocks. So hair that is bound together and literally all one, it becomes one. Now, if someone was... Dreadlocks, obviously, they can be brushed out, but if you've ever watched a video of dreadlocks being brushed out, it's a very lengthy, very painful process. The hair gets damaged. And people are lucky because in humans, dreadlocks can be brushed out from down here. Try having that done on your scalp.
I have a 10-year-old daughter, and she's got the curliest hair you can imagine. Like, it's glorious. It's one of those ones that it's crazy hair, like first thing in the morning. If we don't brush her hair every single day, it gets knotty so quickly, so easily. And for example, we was in Turkey recently, and she was in the pool, and the swimming pool sends her hair crazy, and we was brushing it, but it's just those knots and how painful they can be, and how quickly they can build up. Which brings me to my second question. Obviously, grooming is super important regardless of what dog you got. Obviously, depending on what dog you got will depend on how much grooming is required. And as I said, I'm quite lazy when it comes to dogs and grooming. So I always like minimal dogs, Rottweilers, Staffies, Terriers. Certain terriers actually, because like border terriers need to be hand stripped, but I like dogs that just a brush, check them over, keep their teeth clean, keep their nails done, that sort of stuff. Bath them a couple of times a year, that's it,
done.
How much should people be thinking about grooming requirements when thinking about getting a dog for them?
So there are different aspects to this. It depends whether you're proud about how the dog looks or not. So my recommendation to owners, if you care about how your dog looks and you want it fluffy, 6 to 8 weeks, no more, because they will get matted. If you don't care that your dog is short, then you can get your dog a short haircut, and that can last 12 to 14 weeks. Now, I know other groomers are going to be out there and say you shouldn't get your dogs groomed more than 8 weeks apart, but if you have a dog,
got an opinion.
But if you have a dog that's done on a 7F and is the same length as a French bulldog,
Hello, dog.
and so if you've got a short haired dog that's been shaved, you are going to go longer in between haircuts. As groomers, we need to remember that people aren't made of money and it is expensive, and also you might not want to maintain your dog every 6 weeks. As long as you get a haircut that maintains the dog for the time period, then you're absolutely fine. So if you don't mind that little Teddy's going to be shaved really short, but he's going to be happy and comfortable for the next 12 weeks until his next appointment, save yourself a bit of money and save him pain, that's fine. But if you want a maintained...
I don't know what you did there. We do have like metal legs on here, and I believe they're hollow, but his mate, he shit himself, bless him. I don't know how he managed to do that.
His own legs.
Well, I'm actually impressed that he hasn't knocked the cameras over. I was half expecting one of these cameras to go down.
He's very good, isn't he?
But it would be fine if it did. We'd just prop it back up. Like, obviously there is a dog there. So obviously that's how much obviously they should be considering grooming. I question more than anything else is, I've sat down with my family. We decided we want to get a dog. We're now researching breeds. How important should they be looking at, say, that grooming? So obviously, because I don't think people do. I think people get a cockapoo without realising that they could require a bit of grooming. People will message me going, "How do I stop my husky fucking shedding?" I'm like, "Are you crazy? Like you should have known this when you got the dog, how bad their coat's gonna blow, because it's a Siberian husky built to live in the bloody Arctic."
At the end of the day, I think it's something that should be considered almost as much as temperament, because it is something that dogs have been rehomed because of. They don't like hair everywhere, they get rid of it. They can't maintain the haircuts, they can't afford it, so they get rid of it. Dogs have been rehomed because of reasons that have led down to grooming and them not being able to maintain or not looking into the requirements as much. Now, a husky is going to shed a lot more than a French bulldog.
But easy on the grooming side.
Yeah.
Double coat, needs a brush, bath a couple of times a year, keep those nails at a reasonable length. If you don't mind fur everywhere, they're what I would class as sort of a minimal requirement for grooming. I wouldn't get a husky because it is too much fur for me. Like, it's constant. Like, they shed 365 days a year. But I prefer the sort of shorter haired side of things. But yeah, that's a perfect answer. They should be taking that almost as seriously as temperament. Because do you think there's like an easier sort of style coat that is like better suited to somebody that maybe doesn't want to do a lot of grooming? Would you say like single coats?
Absolutely, and breeds as well. So you have to look into, if you're buying a dog, you have to look into making sure everything's fine with that and where you're getting it from. Look into mum and dad, both should be seen. If you're getting a rescue, then hopefully your dog will be a bit older and you can already see what coat you're kind of working with. There are King Charles, for example, King Charles Spaniels. I've groomed some that are really thick sheep-like and bushy, and some that only get hair on the little backs of their legs sprouting. And two very different owners. One feels very lucky and grateful because they've got a King Charles with low maintenance, and another because they've got to have it shaved every 4 weeks because it's overheating. But I think it's very important to look into the requirements that each breed has. I would say it's easier for a short-haired breed, but also it depends what short-haired breed, because a husky is going to shed, whereas a cockapoo isn't, and a cockapoo can be dealt with formally once every 8 weeks, whereas a husky is going to need a bit of regular maintenance at home. Jack Russells, it depends. Is it hand-strip Jack Russell, a short-haired Jack Russell? Is it a long-haired Jack Russell? Is it mixed with something? You have to look at the dog, not just the breed.
We have a King Charles here, by the way. Obviously we put the dogs away so we could just focus on the podcast, and I know your one's a bit nervous of dogs, so I didn't want him to get overwhelmed being in a new place. Again, we make sure everyone's as comfortable as possible. Red flag areas for the King Charles Spaniel that's here: fucking ears. Because although they don't have the longest fur spaniels, the ears, you get same with a Springer, same with a Cocker, very easy to have matting on the ears, which can cause pain. And the feet, so much hair between the paws on it, and the tail. So you have to sort of take that in mind, I think, when people are getting it. I'm a dog trainer, right? So I've walk down the street, and I find it very hard not to judge people. I mean, I don't say anything to them. I just mind my own business. Like
Inside thoughts.
But you know, when you're sitting there like at a restaurant or something, and you're seeing somebody walking down the road with their dog and they're being dragged, or you hear them going, Benji, watch me, Benji, look, no, Benji, sit down, be a good boy, I'm going to put you back on a lead in a minute, we're going to go home in a minute. I'd sit there and go, fuck's sake, just shut up. Like, if you stop talking, the dog will start paying more attention to you. But obviously, I would never go and do that. The same way I would never go on social media and just give my unwanted opinion to a complete stranger. But do you find yourself as a groomer, if you're interacting with dogs, maybe you're out and a dog's approached you or something like that, or you see a dog walking past, do you find yourself going, oh, that dog desperately needs a groom, or...
Yeah, and in some cases, I do have to advocate and speak up for it, because I didn't know if you knew this, but if a dog comes to us in a really neglected state, so it could mean sores, cuts, bruises, we cannot legally report them to the RSPCA, because them bringing the dog to us means they're doing something about it. So even if they brought that dog reoccurring like that every year, because they're doing something about it, they won't do anything, basically. So if I don't speak up for the dogs, the dog ain't gonna speak up for itself. It almost reminds me of like you talking about brushing your daughter's hair. Like, she's able to tell you, like, Dad, that really hurts. The dog's screaming, and you just think the dog's inconvenient for screaming, and it's like, what?
The funny thing is, I've met dogs sort of over the years that have been reactive, and the only reason they're reacting is because they're in pain. Whether it be joint pain, whether it be because they're unwell, whether it be because of their coat. A lot of why Hooch, who I mentioned at the start, that Pomeranian, when you told your Yorkshire Terrier story, the dreaded Pomeranian that no one could get near and get a lead on, half the reason Hooch was so fucking aggressive was because, and bearing in mind he was surrendered to a rescue, so this isn't the rescue's fault, the rescue reached out straight away to get help, was because his fur was so matted. He had knots all over him. Like, so touching him, he's like, wants to lash out, doesn't want anyone touching him. A brush going near him, as you say, with my daughter, she can say, Daddy, that hurts. But you imagine, obviously, as a groomer, you know, he's got knots all over him, and you're trying to brush him, and and he's scared. He doesn't want anything near him. He's defensive. He's lashing out.
And what this makes me think of is when you're a groomer who's on a set wage, and when you're working in a salon and dogs come in like conveyor belts, you're kind of taught to ignore the screams to make the money, because the dog can't speak up for themselves. And it's kind of like, oh, just get on with it. Oh, leave him, muzzle him, tell him off, da-da-da-da. You're lucky that dog don't have a voice.
Yeah, he said, I mean, the welfare of the animal must come before anything else. Like, when somebody comes here, before they've even turned up, they have to tick a box to say if the dog's got any medical issues or anything like that. And if they tick the box yes, or put in anything, they get a call straight away. There's another thing that says, when was your dog's last vet check? Because we've sent dogs home before that have turned up and they've got a limp. And I was like, what's he doing there? Like, you didn't tell us about that. They're like, yeah. I'm like, well, he's going home. They're like, what do you mean? I've driven hours. I'm like, yeah. There was a box that you had to fill out. You also spoke to a member of the team to ask if your dog was in fit health when it last saw the vet.
Yeah.
You lied. Your dog's limping, so there's something wrong with it. So maybe before we start training, we should make sure this dog's in a clean bill of health and that the pain isn't contributing to the problem.
Yeah.
I think, obviously, when it comes to welfare, we have the basics. You walk your dog, you feed your dog, you walk the dog, provide shelter for the dog. But welfare goes way beyond that. It's making sure that if the dog's sick, it's getting treatment. It's making sure if the dog has certain coat types that we are adhering to that. It's making sure that we are keeping them an ideal weight, not overfeeding them so they're fat. I do think grooming and obesity, they're completely different subjects, but I think these two are the ones that are kind of thrown out the door. Like, people think about training requirements. They think about, right, I need to get food for my dog. They go, oh God, I've got to walk my dog. I don't think people think about how much they're feeding their dog contributes to the health, and I don't think people realise about grooming as much. This is why I really wanted to get groomers on here to talk about it, to raise these points that no matter what dog you got, it needs a brush, it needs a
Yeah.
basic groom, it needs you
Yeah.
to get it used to being comfortable. And if you can't do that, contact a trainer that can give you tips, or work alongside a groomer
Yeah.
that isn't a conveyor belt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so important to look into the groomers that you're working with, and not just the shop that you're taking the dog to, the specific groomer that is grooming your dog as well, because people will hire people without qualifications. Did you know you don't actually legally require qualifications to groom a dog in
It's
the UK?
a very
It's crazy.
unregulated industry.
Bizarre. Unregulated, in fact. So, yeah, always do your research.
Okay. What's the most common grooming mistake people make, do you think?
Owners or groomers?
Well, I wrote the question. What's the most common grooming mistake? Pet owners. I can't read. There's me trying to snidely look down it. Yeah, pet owners. What's the most common mistake that do you think they make when it comes to grooming?
Going too long without their dogs getting a haircut and wondering why it's shaved short like a rat. Yeah, that's it. Well, I brushed him when?
Yeah.
Today. Any other time in the last 12 weeks? No.
The thing is, I think people forget that professionals do this for a living and know the answers. Like, obviously, I'm asking you these questions, but I already know the answers to a lot of the questions I'm asking, because it's my business as a dog trainer to understand all aspects of dogs, about diet and nutrition, about exercise,
Yeah.
about grooming. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to give the dog a snazzy haircut. Yeah. But I understand if a dog's coat needs a brush, I understand the importance of checking a dog over and basic grooming requirements.
Yeah.
But I do think people think, like the other day I had a client that come here, and the dog's nuts. And this was the second session I had with her, but it was worse than the first session. And on the first session, the problem was the dog wasn't getting enough exercise. Then I was told that the dog's going out every single day. When she come back to me, straight away, your dog's not being walked. I'm taking him out. Okay, when? How, Matt? Yeah. And then you start pressing and you find out that the dog hasn't been going out. She started for a couple of days, and then obviously it fell back, went to old habits. And the dog is worse because it's got more frustration and things like that. I think with a groomer, I'm brushing it. I'm like, yeah, it's a rhetorical question. I know you're not fucking brushing the dog.
Yeah.
I can see you're not brushing the dog. It's why I'm asking you.
Yeah. It's almost like a polite way of accusing. It's like, no, I don't want to say that you're a liar.
How much exercise has your dog got? Because I know it's got fuck all.
Yeah.
But if you could just tell, remember what I said at the start, like dealing with clients, you have to not always speak your mind. You just word it in a certain way. So how much exercise is your dog getting? Their inside voice, I know it's getting nothing. Verbalising, can you just tell me how much exercise it's getting? Okay, well, he's going to need more. Walk your fucking dog.
Yeah, I go for the gentler approach. I go, it must have been a really busy couple of weeks for you, right? Because Teddy isn't as... I keep using... I actually have a client called Teddy, and I promise you, Teddy, it's not you.
Teddy's owner's going to be watching, just going, fuck you.
Teddy's actually great. Teddy and his owners are great. But the dogs... I forgot what I was saying.
People sort of lying about what they've done with their dog.
Oh, yeah.
And you asking them... oh, shit, not my hat. You asking them about... going a gentler approach.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to say, look, it's been a couple of busy weeks for you, hasn't it? I can see because Teddy hasn't been brushed. Here's what we might be able to do going forward. And then if someone's struggling, like, I know I shouldn't, but I am the most dog advocate person ever. And I need to make money as a business. But if a dog's suffering, I do often say to people, like, look, just get Teddy in with me. If you can't afford it, let's just work something out. And always work with your groomer. Do. Because the last thing they would want to see is a dog suffer. Like some of my clients, I'll be like, look, Teddy's suffering. I don't get paid for a couple of weeks. What can I do? I'm going to groom Teddy. You're a reliable customer. Let's work together. Let's see what we can work out. And I just appreciate that so much more than getting a matted dog.
You're a business at the end of the day. I find that very noble, what you just said. Same here. I think a mark of a good business isn't... I don't want to say that if you don't give away things for free, you're not a good business. But I think it's bending those rules a little bit, doing those things with you. Because at the end of the day, if you was free constantly, you'd never make any money.
Yeah.
Or you'd have to turn into a charity and then rely on donations. And you want to be a successful business, because being a successful business means you get more knowledgeable and you can help people, you can help more dogs. That was the whole point here. I started just myself and now I've got multiple trainers because I want to be able to help more dogs. But we always try to give back to our members, whether it be half price sessions or whether it be, right, here's a chance to win a free session, or I have that dog that I mentioned, the Rottweiler. I'm literally training that dog for free. Yeah, because she broke down and I know that she hasn't got any money, and I know how much this dog needs, and if I send her away, chances are it's never going to get help. Doesn't mean that you should be doing that all the time, because you still have to make money, but I do think that a mark of somebody that is truly in it for the dogs is somebody that will do what is ever necessary for that dog.
Yeah, and that's what Simon says, and that's what's always in my head. You don't need to figure out where the money's going to come from. Find what your passion is, and the money will follow. Mm-hmm. It's just true. It's so true. What advice would you give someone bringing home a puppy with regards to grooming? Familiarise your puppy at home. You want to get yourself a soft pin slicker brush if it's a long-haired breed. Get yourself a comb. Research the right tools that you need for your specific puppy. Get the first grooming appointment done after the vaccinations are fully done. So I would say about 12 weeks old, get that first grooming session done. And you're going to hear from breeders and other groomers that your dog cannot have a haircut until they're 6 months old, because it can ruin their coat and everything else. You can still become familiar with the tools, the bathing, the drying, and the process without having your dog's haircut. So even though they say don't get your dog's haircut till this age, everyone gets different advice and everyone does different things, but that's a generic bit of advice I hear. Get your dog into the grooming salon as soon as early as possible. Make sure it's a grooming salon you trust, that you've looked into, and make sure that you know what's going on in that grooming salon. A big red flag to me, just because I've worked in grooming salons like it, and I won't name them, mm-hmm. but if they don't let you see the grooming salon, there's a problem. There is a problem. And I've worked in grooming salons, and I've found that when they've intentionally hid the salons, it's often because there is an obvious conveyor belt of dogs going on. There is an obvious lack of good equipment.
I'd imagine that's like somebody bringing their dog to a training centre and me going, yeah, well, you can't come inside. I'm just going to take your dog away from you. You can't see what's going on. Yeah, there have been times where I have asked the owners to go and stand well away from their dog, or watch from inside a building. I've done home visits before where the owner's so worried that the dog's going to kill me, and he's in the garden as we're trying to have a conversation. I'm like, right, I'm going to go and see the dog. They're like, do you want me to come out with you? I'm like, no! But you can watch everything I do from your patio door to move that emotional crutch, because obviously the more nervous they get, the more that can affect their dog for the negative. But restricting the owner from being able to see where their dog's going to be, I think that's a bit suspicious.
It's massively dodge, massively suspicious. So yeah, just get to know the person who's grooming your dog so much better than, it's like a child sitter, like a babysitter. If you're trusting your baby with them, you wouldn't just give them to just anyone.
Right, 100%. Let's talk social media and dog grooming. So, do you think social media has influenced grooming in any way, shape, or form? Do you think like styles, trends, things like that are happening more because of social media? Do you think it's helping the grooming industry?
I don't know what of an impact it has on the grooming industry. I think it gives us a false impression sometimes. So I will find people with really big following, really big, cute, fluffy dogs that will have maintained dogs, perfectly amazing to them, but they don't show the behind the scenes of how much maintenance it takes for the dogs to get that. So people will see that and think, oh my god, this person's got the fluffiest cockapoo, I want one just like that. And then they're hit with a harsh reality and they're like, oh, this is crazy. And also, grooming trends. Do you know what I'm going to say? Inappropriate grooming trends for the sake of rage baiting, gaining traction on social media for personal reasons and putting the dog at risk. A, because the dog can't speak about it, and B, because people are too scared to speak about it because they want to fit into the trend. I would like to point out that trend that groomers are blowing the high velocity dryer, which, might I mention, I think definitely travels at over 50 miles an hour, that wind. It is strong, okay? And there's this track playing in the background, and they put the blaster on the dog's face, and it's blowing air into its face, and then they go back onto the groomer. And if you've ever had one of those in your face, it's so strong that it can take the air out of your mouth, basically. Like, it's a really strong bit of equipment. And people are doing this to make the dog look funny on an Instagram trend. I think it actually makes me angry. Oh, it looks cute. Oh, it's funny.
I think social media, I know exactly what you're talking about, because I get sent these fucking videos. By the way, thank you to everyone that sends me in videos you want me to react to. That's why we do react videos, because people keep sending them to me. However, we do see good ones to react to, but we get a lot of shit ones to react to. Not shit as in, oh, this isn't worthy of reacting to, because the shit ones, it's shit because of what's happening to the dog, and you use it to now educate someone. But this grooming trend of blasting a dog in the face of a high velocity, whatever it's called, dryer, there we go, dryer, playing with the M&M Just Lose It over the background.
Yeah.
What I think about when I see that is, if I had a dog and I'd given it to a groomer, entrusted my dog, a member of my family effectively, over to a groomer, and then a couple of days later, a day later, however long it is, I see my dog on social media being blasted in the face like that, where I think it's meant to be safe and being looked after, I would flip a fucking lid.
Yeah, if that was my dog that I'd seen someone do that with, I can't speak because I'll get arrested.
Yeah, it's honestly absurd. Like, it's because there's no way that they've all got permission from the owners to do that.
No. I mean, and if they do,
they have misrepresented how bad this fucking...
I'm just slightly worried about the dog, because there are two people in A, the ownership, and B, a profession that aren't speaking up for the dog's rights and advocating properly. Like,
no, I'm all for doing things with your dog, but I have like this philosophy: how is this going to affect your dog for the better or worse? Doing some silly games with your dog, wrestling with your dog, playing with all that things, that's fine as long as the dog's okay with it, as long as it's going back and forth. When you're doing trends where it's visibly scaring the dog, stressing the dog, all for the sake of views, that's where I draw the line.
Yeah.
The ones where a dog's asleep and you freaking make it jump. The ones where the dog's next to you chilling and you like bark at your dog to see its reaction. The grooming trend, blowing the thing in its face. You've got to ask yourself, or the other latest one I'm seeing is dog eating, and then someone pretending to break into the house to see how the dog reacts if it chooses food over the burglar.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all you're doing here,
it's creating trauma.
You're creating trauma. It's completely unnecessary.
It makes me so angry. It actually makes me so angry. And then people will be like, oh, how do you know the dog doesn't like it? As a groomer, when you're drying a dog, if it's biting the nozzle, it probably doesn't like it.
Yeah. But that's the thing, like, because you're right there. So somebody was saying in the comments, well, how do you know? Did the dog tell you it didn't like it? I'm like, no. Unfortunately, we're dealing with a species that doesn't speak human language, but they speak dog language. And they're very good at showing when they're uncomfortable. Got a react video in my drafts that's going up later on today. It's a Rottweiler biting someone. And I love Rottweilers. It's not to show the bad side of it, although some people will obviously notoriously hate on the dog just because it's the breed. But what it was is a dog's jumped up at somebody's car. I'm guessing they're somewhere and the dog's come to greet him at the car. It doesn't look like their dog. And they're stroking the dog here, and the dog's fine. It's panting the way a Rottweiler normally would. It's not a stress pant or something. And stroking it, dog's okay with it. Then the hand comes over the top. So the panting stops and the mouth shuts, and you can see the dog's visibly got stressed. Then the hand comes down, the dog goes back to being alright. Then the hand comes back over the top, so the dog starts licking the arm. And I'm like, this isn't affection at this stage, this is appeasement. The dog wants you to stop it. It's offering you a different behaviour to change the stressful behaviour that's happening. That's ignored. The touching on top of the head continues all around the ears and things like that, and boom, the dog nails it. I'm like, the dog doesn't say, can you stop this, verbally.
Yeah. But he communicates with his body language.
Yeah. You could see the bite was coming all day long in that video. And that's what people... Just because your dog's not necessarily showing aggression at that moment in time.
Yeah.
yeah, doesn't mean that the dog isn't
Pissed
happy
off.
with
Yeah.
what it's doing.
Yeah.
Have you had any strange requests being a groomer?
I actually haven't had too many strange requests. Not that I would call strange. No. Mohawks.
No?
Absolutely nothing really. I want more strange requests. I need more strange requests. I think what I've done is I've practiced such a welfare side of things that my client base has also really followed that.
Yeah.
So now they're not like, oh, whatever. Although the other day, it was like, I was so happy that I got to do this. There was a client of mine who had their auntie's dog coming from Colombia, and they flew over on the plane, so they was kept in what is it for a couple of
A cargo container pet transport crate.
Yeah, anyway, so they were also kept there for about 2 months at the airport to make sure that there was no zoonotic disease and stuff. Really, really matted. And this dog was what I would call the breed. It was more like a Cavachon or a Cavapoo, which is not actually a pedigree breed, but most people will know that. And they said that it was a French poodle, but to me it didn't look like that. However, they still wanted a poodle cut, and it was matted in loads of places, and we managed to save the hair in just the places it wasn't and gave it the most amazing and beautiful haircut. It had little booties at the bottom and
That's
long
cool.
ears and a little light bulb head, and I just felt so proud because dog looked amazing, didn't suffer, and I just felt so accomplished. But most people, when they get a dog like that, they will listen to me and be like, look, just take it all off. Yeah.
That's a pretty cool story. Finally, a bit of a silly question, because it's all down to the individual. If you could groom any celebrity's dog, who would it be?
Does Machine Gun Kelly have a dog?
I
Does
have
Machine Gun
no
Kelly have a
idea.
dog? Because I'm just asking.
We'll tag him. He
At
probably
him.
won't even know who we are.
No.
Unless he has a dog, he might. I never know. Machine Gun Kelly, do you have a dog? Okay, so that's it. Any advice for aspiring dog groomers? Somebody thinking about being a dog groomer, or maybe just started their dog grooming journey? Any words of wisdom?
My words of wisdom would be what Adam, my mentor, told me. It would be do it once, do it well. Make sure that what you're doing is right. Take your time and do your research. Don't do an online course, because you can't learn to drive a car from online. So how are you going to learn to groom a dog from online? You can do provisionals and theory tests online, but you can't actually get behind the wheel of a car.
You need hands-on experience.
You need hands-on experience. How are you going to face a dog that goes to bite you if the experience you've got is Google asking you? Do your research, and if you're not sure about something, don't say yes. So don't promise a haircut to a client because you want to keep them happy. Be honest, because more mistakes will happen than not if you do that.
Okay, this is the portion now where we give you an opportunity to tell the audience at home what's going on in your life. If there's anything you want people to be more aware of, I know you've got a GoFundMe page. It's your time to basically sell yourself for the next 10 seconds or so.
So
have at it.
Cool.
Face the cameras and tell the world what's going on in Kelly's life.
So what's going on in my life is I'm launching the treat brand soon. I have a GoFundMe for a pet grooming van that I desperately need. At the moment, my grooming day looks like an hour drive in the morning to pick up a dog, an hour and a half driving back home, 2 hours to groom the dog, an hour and a half drive back, and an hour and a drive back home. That's about 4 to 5 hours of driving a day for one grooming appointment. I could do so much more with a grooming van, so feel free to help me by donating to my GoFundMe, and for every donation that's made, a packet of treats homemade by me is going to be donated to a rescue centre of the public's choosing, actually. So there's going to be a couple. And if you're going to do a £5 donation and you do that in 5 instalments of £1, that means 5 packs of treats are going to get donated. So yeah, that's the main thing for me. Get your dogs groomed with me as well. I travel from London and beyond. I go to Southend and all sorts of places. I do in-home grooming. Yeah.
Love it. And where can people get in touch with you? Where's the best way to get in touch with you if they want to speak to you about dog grooming?
Instagram, Kellies Canines, spelled Kellie.
All of this will be linked on the
Nice.
screen. Yeah. And they'll be in the description as well. So Kellies Canine and Instagram. Yeah. I ask more because people will contact us on all of our social media, but when people go, what's the best way to get in contact with us? For us, it's either phone the office because you're going to get through and speak to someone, or use the website. You can contact me on Instagram, but the reality is you might not get a reply straight away. That's why we are. So Instagram's the best place to get hold of you at Kellies Canines.
Yeah, it is actually. There's not a message that I miss on there. Sometimes it's a bit late replying, but I do work a lot at the minute. So yeah.
Okay. And that brings us to the end, ladies and gentlemen. Kellie, how was your first podcast? First real podcast, actually, as you said, your words, not mine.
First real podcast. It was good. I hope it didn't bore everyone.
It was really, really interesting. To be fair, we could talk about dogs for hours. But thank you so much for coming on. Loved listening to your story. Loved talking about dogs. And thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Hopefully, guys, you enjoyed that, and we'll see you soon.
I want to show